Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to look at language from a completely different perspective. We're going to treat grammar not as this set of rigid, dusty rules you have to memorize for a test, but as the literal building blocks of an architectural masterpiece, your writing. When you think of a sentence like a physical structure, every single word has a structural purpose, a load-bearing job, or a decorative function.
All right, let's just jump right into the blueprint. We're covering 5 main things today: the foundation with nouns and pronouns, the engine with verbs and tenses, the decor, looking at adjectives and adverbs, the blueprint of sentence structures, and finally, the vibe, which is all about tone and mood. Let's get our hard hats on.
Starting off with Part 1, Nouns and Pronouns, the foundation.
So every house needs a rock-solid foundation, right? In our language, that foundation is built entirely on nouns. We actually start pouring this with concrete nouns. These are the literal, tangible things you can perceive with your 5 senses, like the smartphone sitting right there on your desk, or the tree outside, maybe a barking dog. These are undeniably real, solid materials that ground your sentences in absolute physical reality.
But what about the things we can't touch? Well, that brings us to abstract nouns. Think of it this way. If concrete nouns are the bricks and mortar, abstract nouns are the design philosophies. They're the invisible concepts, things like freedom, peace, or heroism. I mean, you literally can't put love in a wheelbarrow, but without these conceptual materials, our writing would just be an empty shell. Now, things get really interesting when our foundation shifts, and that happens with collective nouns. Take a look at this comparison. When a group acts as a united, singular entity, the grammar is singular, like, the team is playing well. But if that foundation cracks and the individuals start acting separately, the grammar literally shifts to reflect that division. The team are arguing among themselves. It's wild. The whole structure changes based entirely on unity.
To keep our foundation from getting visually repetitive, we swap in pronouns. And demonstrative pronouns are incredibly spatial. If a material is physically or even conceptually near you, you point to it with this or these. If it's further away, across the room, you use that or those. It basically acts as a map for your reader.
Moving right along to Part 2, Verbs and Tenses. This is the engine.
Okay, so with our solid foundations set, we've got to install the engine of the house, our verbs. But here's the thing, not all verbs run the same way in the engine room. Helping verbs come before the main verb to express tense, like when someone is reading. Then you have linking verbs. They act kind of like a hallway, connecting the subject to its description without any actual action, like saying you appear tired. And finally, transitive verbs. These are the heavy lifters. They demand a direct object to function. You can't just say Goyong gives. Gives what? Goyong gives a gift. Makes perfect sense, right?
We also need to understand the engine's timing. The simple present tense is basically your house's baseline setting, the habits and routines that just don't change. But contrast that against the present progressive tense. This is the immediate, right now action. By slapping a helping verb and an ing onto it, you're essentially telling the reader, hey, the engine is currently running at this exact second.
All right, on to Part 3, adjectives and adverbs. Let's talk about the decor.
So the foundation is poured, the engine is humming. Now for the interior decor, where adjectives give us color and detail. And prepare to have your mind blown here, because this is the strict 10-step adjective series order. When you have more than one adjective, they absolutely must follow this exact sequence: determiner, quantity, physical quality, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, and purpose. It's like this secret code native English speakers use flawlessly without even realizing it. You instinctively say a thin, old, brown wooden walking stick. If you mix that up, your architecture instantly sounds completely wrong.
Now, while adjectives decorate the nouns, adverbs are the decor for your verbs. They tell us how, when, where, or how much. Pay special attention to adverbs of manner. These tell us exactly how an action is executed. A door doesn't just close, it closes softly. A worker doesn't just build, they build skillfully. They're really there to fine-tune the action happening inside your structure.
Okay, so we have the solid noun foundations, the humming verb engine, and the precise adjective and adverb decor. But the big, absolutely crucial question here is, how do we actually nail all these diverse materials together into a house that won't just suddenly collapse on our readers? That brings us to Part 4, Sentence Structures, the blueprint. To actually frame the house, we look at how complete and incomplete thoughts build different types of sentences. An independent clause is a complete thought, just a simple sentence. To build a compound sentence, you join two of those independent clauses together. For a complex sentence, you pair an independent clause with a dependent one, a thought that can't stand alone. And for a massive mansion of a thought, you build a compound complex sentence. That's where you stack multiple independent and dependent clauses all together.
But to physically hold all those independent clauses together in your compound sentences, you need mortar. And that mortar is our coordinating conjunctions. Adding a room in the exact same style, use the and type, like furthermore. Adding a contrary room, use the but type, like however. The or type implies a choice between equal structural options, and the so type beautifully implies that the second idea is the direct result of the first.
Finally, part 5, tone and mood. Let's check out the vibe. So the foundation is solid, the engine works, and the framing holds it all together. Now we assess the curb appeal by recognizing the vital difference between tone and mood. Tone is the specific attitude you, the architect, intentionally build into the house. But mood, that's how your reader actually feels when they step inside. You might write with this urgent, really serious tone, and as a result, create an anxious, suspenseful mood for the reader who's wandering through your sentences.
And that brings us to our final takeaway for this explainer. As you sit down to construct your next email, maybe a report, or honestly even just a text message, ask yourself this. What kind of world are your word choices building for the people who visit your ideas? By mastering these grammatical building blocks, you aren't just following dusty old rules. You are literally shaping the exact reality you invite others to experience. So, what are you going to build today?